Loki wraps up, and I have my review of Season 1. A new company of heroes is headed our way. And we hear from Black Widow and Quantum of Solace star Olga Kurylenko. All that and the latest and everything cool today in the Rundown. Hello, welcome to the Electric Playground. My name is Victor Lucas, and it is great to be here to bring you the latest and everything cool, and that is thanks to our sponsors at the Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation. They've got tournaments happening every single weekend that you do not want to miss out on. You can find out all about them at tgs.gg. Okay, today's episode of The Rundown is dedicated to 10-Button Gamer, who said, nice to see this series back. He was talking about my side-scrolling superheroes review of the Invincible Iron Man. There's something about watching those older games get reviews, maybe because it reminds me of when a lot of these games first came out, and Tommy and Vic were doing reviews on them on EP. Honestly, would love to see Victor do some more retro review stuff besides just the superhero games, but there is too much new stuff to talk about. And yes, that is the dilemma. I love talking about the retro stuff, but there is always lots of exciting things to talk about. And something that is very exciting to talk about right now is Loki. The sixth and final episode of the first season of Loki has just debuted on Disney+, and I just got finished watching it, just got finished having my mind blown by what was a terrific climax, a great send-off for this, yes, first season. So spoilers, there's going to be more Loki. And more spoilers, we got our first look at the brand new Kang the Conqueror, who is played by Jonathan Majors, who does a great job. He's definitely showy, and he was chewing up all kinds of scenery. But man, it was really hard to take your eyes off of his monologue and his explanation of all of these different things that he has been doing behind the scenes. He's been watching Sylvie and Loki go through all of their events throughout the course of the season, watching them understand this idea of variance and all of these crisscrossing paths across the timeline, understanding that they are just infinitesimal parts of the multiverse out there. Majors just delivered an amazing kind of sense of his omnipotence and his power. It was a great way to wrap everything up. It was also incredibly touching and emotional as well, because clearly Sylvie and Loki have such very, very strong feelings for each other, and over the course of 6 episodes, we've really gotten a chance to see that evolve in a human way, you know? This is a talky show. This is what I've really kind of recognized about this season of Loki, and it's what makes these Marvel shows, these Marvel Studios productions on Disney Plus really quite special, because, you know, usually, like in Black Widow, which I'm going to be talking about very soon here on the Rundown, there are these huge epic action set-piece sequences that sort of tie everything together, and we know the buildup is boom, 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 huge fight, huge CG spectacle. And, you know, WandaVision sort of played with that formula quite a bit. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier started off with a giant bang and an amazing stunt sequence and a beautiful visual effects sequence, but then we get some time to live with these characters, and Loki, I think, even leaned into that in a bigger way. Yes, there were some fantastical elements and some apocalyptic moments and scenes, and a giant time and space-eating smoke monster that we had to see, and also all of these varietals of different Loki creations. For the most part, there was a lot of time conversing and characters having a chance to kind of show their dramatic chops and their alliances to each other or their betrayals of each other. It never forgets that this is superhero cinema, you know, and that everybody's a little larger than life, and there are powers and there are some battles and stuff, but there are some really cool, dramatic, and human beats all the way through, especially seeing it reflected on Tom Hiddleston, who has always been really fun on screen, but his character, even though he's duplicitous, has been kind of, you know, one note, very selfish, very sort of motivated by what's in it for him in all of the movie appearances. And in this show, we get to see that maybe there's more to this character. Maybe he's not just this woe-begotten, feeling sorry for himself, will stop at nothing for love and attention kind of caricature that he has been having fun with in previous incarnations of Loki. In this one, we see that he is very empty inside, and he's been searching, and he's been, wanting some real connection and love, and I think he has discovered that in this variation of himself, which is so funny, right? Because he's so self-serving. Of course, the person that he has legitimate feelings for is a version of himself, which is very interesting and very Freudian. But it also was very human in the case of this character. So it was very fun to watch that relationship evolve over time. We get some more with Mobius. We get a little bit more of his motivations in the TVA. We also get to sort of unravel more of the secret of the TVA. It was all crafted by Kang to help to guide and steer the one true timeline and to try to cut off all of the, derivations and deviations that were out there and let the giant sort of smoke monster eat all of these rogue elements that exist across the multiverse. And I also really enjoyed, through the use of very clever CG exposition technology, we get a sense of the scale of this multiverse battle. There is like a more benevolent version of Kang who tries to take out all of the evil and demonic versions and variations of Kang across the multiverse. In lieu of us seeing those dramatic battles, which is probably stuff that we're going to start to see in the new Spider-Man movie that's coming out later this year and the next Doctor Strange film, because I think this multiverse is going to play such a huge part in where we're going with this, and so will Kang. But Kang got to kind of demonstrate a sampling of that with some cool CG work on his desk over top of his monologue. It was like a three-hander stage sequence in that moment there with Tom Hiddleston and Sophia DiMartino and Jonathan Majors, and they're all such competent actors. There was a little CG sort of embellishment there to push the plot forward and to build up some excitement and stuff. But it was really their work and their way with words and their truth in those moments that played so convincingly. This was a fantastic puzzle piece. It was almost like an X-Files across the cosmos kind of mystery, like who done it, who created the TVA and what's really happening and what are all of these branches in the timeline, where is this all leading? And of course it's building to more, but I think the great reveal at the end of Kang, but also that there's more Loki coming and that the ramifications, like there's going to be another season of Loki, which is so exciting, but the ramifications of this across the MCU, which is punctuated by the opening sequence over the titles with all kinds of voice recordings from previous entries in the MCU. It was brilliant. I mean, it really shows that all of these moments have been observed and they're all leading to something really mega and really massive, and of course it's all connected. I felt like Loki has been a little bit of a slow burn, and I still do. I still feel like it's definitely not as flashy as what WandaVision, even though there's lots of magical powers and stuff, it's not as flashy as WandaVision was with all of its different time-bending sitcom variations, and it wasn't maybe as thrilling and punchy and dynamic as The Falcon and the Winter Soldier was. It's incredibly satisfying. Wow, what a great series this Loki show is, and my hats are off to all of the creative people that had to build all of these sets and all of these different worlds for our characters to visit with limitations that you can see, but they did a really, really wonderful job. It's such great bridge content too to where the MCU goes now, and that was, I think, part of the reason why this was crafted. I'm so excited that we're getting more Loki, but more from the threads that are being laid and so effectively laid by this first season. Absolutely loved it. I think WandaVision is my favorite MCU Marvel Studios show so far, then Loki, and then The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But Loki is incredible. And another massive, massive shout out for the music in this series, which is just marvelous. No pun intended. You really, really need to get caught up on Loki if you haven't been watching it, but I'm sure you've watched this review, and I've spoiled a bunch of stuff, and I think you probably are watching it, and you're probably as happy as I am, but let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to give the Loki television show an 8.5 out of 10, and I cannot wait for more. All right, something else that's really exciting today is that Sega and Relic have revealed the first look at Company of Heroes 3, which is headed to the PC in 2022. It looks very familiar for fans of the Company of Heroes franchise. We are back commanding troops on the ground in World War II. The game this time takes place in the Mediterranean and in North African deserts as well, and we're going to be able to control all kinds of really articulated and detailed soldiers with all kinds of different abilities and weaponry, all of it thoroughly researched, as Relic always does for the Company of Heroes games. What's interesting about Company of Heroes 3 is that it's been co-developed with members of the Company of Heroes community out there, some super fans, using a service called Games Together, which is made by one of Sega's studios called Amplitude. And so there's a lot of shared kind of experiential building of the game in real time with people that are playing it and sharing their experiences, which is really interesting technology. This game is going to be headed to early access, so players could sign up and jump on board and get a taste of what it's going to be like to play this game. This is an incredible franchise, though. Relic is such a top dog when it comes to real-time strategy games. I've loved what they've done with Warhammer, and I've loved these Company of Heroes titles. It's an incredibly exciting new announcement. We still have quite a ways to wait for it, but if you jump on board and want to test stuff out early, you can do that. And clearly, I think what Relic is doing here and Sega is doing here is they're letting people sort of wet their whistle and get their hands on it, and they're going to tune it and polish it. And this should be, honestly, one of the best real-time strategy experiences ever created by the time it's done. That's what we're expecting out of this, but it does look really damn good already. All right, it's not just been Loki that's had me excited about the MCU over the last little while. I've also been incredibly pleased with Black Widow, and I got to speak with one of its stars. Black Widow premiered in theaters and on Disney Plus's Premiere Access on July 9th, and it had an incredible weekend, broke all kinds of great box office records, and it's one of the most successful origin movies in the MCU released so far. I really enjoyed the film. It's loaded with all kinds of really cool James Bond winks. You see a little glimpse of Moonraker even in this thing. It's hard to kind of escape the shadow of James Bond. Of course, Rachel Weisz is married to James Bond himself, Daniel Craig, but the biggest James Bond wink in the movie is the fact that Olga Kurylenko is in this film, and not only is she in this film, she plays a key central character, and spoiler alert, it's Taskmaster, which I know is a little bit controversial out there, but there have been examples of female versions of Taskmaster in the Marvel Universe before, in the comics universe. But I just thought it was a really cool take on this character because Antonia Dreykov, who she plays, is such a tragic character. Her father, General Dreykov, played by Ray Winstone, is the founder of the Red Room, which of course is the organization that trains all of these young girls to become lethal assassins, like Natasha Romanoff. And Dreykov is such an incredible villain. Winstone is amazing as the character, and he's so insidious, and it's just such an awful, evil, maniacal plan that he's got these women sort of infiltrating all of the world's sort of power centers. They're lethal tools, basically, and he does it to his own daughter. It's so awful. And the Taskmaster sequences are absolutely stunning in Black Widow as well. It's a movie just bursting with really cool stunt work and terrific over-the-top espionage-flavored moments, as well as some really funny and cool human bits as well. I loved Red Guardian. I loved Melina, played by Rachel Weisz, and Florence Pugh is fantastic in this film. I really want more from Red Guardian. I would love to see Florence Pugh in the MCU, and it looks like the fact that she meets up with Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character at the end of the film kind of suggests that the Thunderbolts might be happening, which could be really cool down the road. But there's a lot of open sort of doors, lots of loose threads sort of left, as is sort of the case in almost every MCU film out there. But I would love to see Red Guardian especially go back in time and revisit some of the stuff that he alludes to, some of these, connections to Captain America. Even though Captain America is supposedly, locked on ice during a lot of what he suggests he had as encounters with the character, I know that Marvel can play with that, right? They're playing with time like crazy right now. They did an Endgame, they're doing it in Loki, going to be about to do it with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. Maybe there's a way to get Steve Rogers and David Harbour's Red Guardian together. That would be incredible. But there's lots to sink our teeth into in Black Widow, and Taskmaster is definitely one of the highlight elements of the movie, so it was a big thrill for me to speak with Olga Kurylenko. Olga, it must feel pretty good to finally be able to talk to people about your character in this movie, who was a big surprise in Black Widow, huh?
I know, it's great. I don't have to keep it secret anymore. Finally, 2 years. We were hoping, normally it should have been 1 year, but obviously we have encountered unexpected obstacles with the pandemic, and yes, it's amazing to be able to speak about it. Even my mom only found out 2 days ago.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, you keep a very good secret. I guess that's part of the job, right? Whether you're in espionage or in these espionage movies.
Yes, I'm all of that in my real life as well. I'm kidding.
Well, talk to me a little bit about your character, Antonia Dreykov. Who is she, and why is she so important to the story of Black Widow?
Well, Antonia is the daughter of the villain, the big villain who operates the Red Room. The backstory is that she, as a child, she goes through a big accident. She goes through physical trauma, but also we realize that she's clearly probably abused by her father in an emotional way and in a manipulative way. And he, in order to save her, he makes her a killing machine, and he makes her his tool, and makes her completely manipulates her and makes her a weapon of war. And what's interesting is that what we've seen is the facade of the Taskmaster, and it's a very skillful, useful machine, and who is killing and is cold-blooded. But underneath that armor, there's a woman who has been hurt and who's suffering. Because I think being stripped of your freedom in that way is quite a terrible thing to live through your whole life.
It's horrifying.
Yes, it's done by the person who is closest to her. It's her own father. And that is 10 times more terrifying than if it's done to you by a stranger. So there's a lot to that character. A lot of pain and suffering. And it's good that we got a glimpse of it. There's not much to explore that in the film. There's not much time for it, but we do get a glimpse of it, and it's cool that we see that.
There's a tremendous amount of action in the movie, and I'm wondering if you had to perform some of the stunt work and get into the sort of stunt reality of Taskmaster.
I would have loved to have done it all. I don't have all of the Taskmaster skills, unfortunately. I'd love to pretend that I do. I was, of course, thankfully, to the amazing stunt team, I was dubbed a lot. And what's interesting is that on action films, every actor has a stunt double, and I usually have a stunt double. But for Taskmaster, I had several stunt doubles.
An army,
That's how complicated the character is, and how all these amazing skills that the character has just can't even be done by one person, because one person can be specialized in all of that. And
yeah, totally.
There are people that specialize in certain tasks that the Taskmaster does. And so lots of people were involved, including me. So that was, it's quite a tough one to pull off, and it's very complex character and physically as well. So yeah, but obviously, look, if I had the time to prepare for it for a long time, I would have loved to do as much as I can by myself. I love doing stunts, and
wow.
I've always been a fan of martial arts. And my dream, it's so funny, my dream was I was a child, I was a little girl, was to be a martial art, like champion. I wanted, and my mother didn't let me. Can you believe it? Isn't that funny that I ended up, my mother said no. You know why? She said, yeah, it's something that's really good. Like she said that's for the boys. And she said,
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, she said, ballet is for girls, you're gonna do ballet. And guess what? I grew up and I'm doing what I want. And, but yeah,
Black Widow sure flies in the face of that, doesn't it?
Yeah, back then didn't know any better. And it's so funny, she was so like afraid, but this was my dream. So I already had the tendency, like I said, Mom, I want to fight. She said, you? So what do you mean you're gonna fight? You have to dance. Well, I'm now doing it, so it's great.
Awesome. Well, Olga, I've been a fan since Quantum of Solace, and it's a real treat to speak with you, and congratulations again on Black Widow.
Thank you.
All right, I've got just a couple quick things to tell you about. The 73rd Emmy Awards announced their nominations, and I'm not going to go through every single category. I just want to say that there are some really cool shows that are being nominated, and it's kind of surreal to see things like The Mandalorian and The Boys going up for Best Drama, which is just incredible. Also, very happy to see Ted Lasso in there for Best Comedy. So we're seeing these streaming players. That's Amazon Prime Video and Disney Plus and Apple going out there, looking to possibly win some massive awards. And also WandaVision, one of my favorite television series of 2021, easily is up there for Best Limited Series. So some really big genre stories are getting their chance to kind of shine with the Academy, which is fantastic. I would be incredibly excited to see The Boys or The Mandalorian win for Best Dramatic Series. Seth Rogen, I think, would also be incredibly happy with The Boys winning. I don't know if you saw his tweet there, but he was very excited to be one of the nominees. Hilarious stuff. Good luck to everybody that's nominated, but especially our favorite shows, yes? All right, and one final thing to tell you guys about. I got a beautiful package here from Xbox and Warner Brothers celebrating Space Jam, A New Legacy, and part of this celebration, of course, is the Space Jam game that Game Pass players can play on Xbox, and I've checked that out, and I thought it was pretty darn fun, but let's see what's in this care package here. Okay, we get a Toon Squad LeBron James action figure, which is pretty cool. I like his outfit there, and it looks like there's Doc Ock arms or something like that I can attach to the back of the character. There is an Xbox Bugs Bunny Game Pass card. This is really cool. It's all in plastic and preserved there, so I think once I punch in the code, I can sort of keep that as a memento. But the standout part of this package are 3 separate Xbox Series controllers, all dolled up and decked out to be color coordinated with the Space Jam movie. There's the Toon Squad controller. I think this one might be my favorite. There's the Goon Squad, the purple and black. If it's purple, they're bad guys, right? Those are the laws in comic books. And then there is this Matrixy looking one as well. I don't know what this... I haven't seen the movie yet. I want to see the movie, but I don't know what this is all about. But it looks like this is like circuitry and Matrixy, sci-fi, Ready Player One type stuff. These are incredible, and what a way to memorialize the launch of a film. And when you couple that with the game that Digital Eclipse made, which is actually a pretty fun kind of retro 16-bit brawler, super cool. This is really an awesome gift. And so Xbox sent this out to me, and I want to thank them very much. This is such a cool bit of swag. I can't wait to see this movie. Thank you, Xbox. Thank you, Warner Brothers. And thank you, Space Jam. I hope the movie's fun. All right, that's going to do it for the rundown today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing and hitting that little bell to be notified. Thank you to all of our EPN members. I'll be back with a brand new rundown for you tomorrow. And until then, play forever.